Hi everybody, I saw some advice going around for how to choose a Pitchwars mentor, and some of it I didn't necessarily agree with. So I wanted to film my own video about advice for how to choose which Pitchwars mentors you're going to submit to. And if you don't know who I am and you're wondering who is this random person giving out Pitchwars advice, I am Sarah Nicolas. I was a Pitchwars mentor from 2012 to 2017, so ever since the beginning. And I was a social media director last year, and I am the managing director this year. So I know a little bit about Pitchwars, and I also know quite a bit about how the mentors choose who they're going to work with. So I wanted to share some of that info with you. Now, most of this info is available in other platforms, in other sites and that kind of thing, so it's not new info necessarily, but I figure the more platforms that this information is available in, the more formats that it's available in, the more people that are going to be able to be helped by it. The first thing that you want to do is, and this may seem like really obvious, but a lot of people actually miss this year, so I wanted to make sure to include it at the very beginning, is to read the wish list that each mentor has available on their own website. So this is different from their short bio that is on the Pitchwars website. That's a totally different thing. So I'm going to leave a link down below for where you can find all that information, but make sure you read every mentor who is in your category. So category means either middle grade, young adult, or adult. You want to read all of those, even if you think that that person might not be interested in what you're writing, because sometimes you may think of a person as like a science fiction fantasy person or a romance person or something like that, and they actually take some other genres that you may be writing that aren't necessarily in that category. So make sure you read all of them, even if you think they might not be interested in you. It's really easy, just you can skim it, and if you don't find anything, I know like Kelly Garrett said when she was a mentee, she would just do a Control-F search for the word mystery because she writes mystery. And if someone's going to take mystery, they're going to include the word mystery in their wish list posts. But just at least take a glance at everyone in your category so you're not missing out on someone who might be interested in what you're writing. When you're going through the wish list, you can take notes however you like. A lot of people use different systems, but whatever works best for you. So a lot of people use Excel. I'm an engineer. I'm very comfortable in Excel. I would probably use Excel, but if that doesn't work for you, you can definitely use another system. Some people kind of use analog where they have a notebook and, you know, write down their notes with a pen. Some people will just like leave all the browser tabs open for the ones that they're interested in until they narrow it down to 4. So whatever system works best for you. You will see people talking a lot about their Excel lists, and so I just wanted to clarify, if that doesn't work for you, if you're not comfortable in Excel, it's totally fine to use a different system. Now, I do always caution to take your time when you're reading through these wish lists. I've seen the wish lists were just released yesterday, and I've already seen people who say they've already chosen their 4. And I don't know how they did it so fast. I really don't. And I kind of even don't recommend choosing it that quickly. And the reason why is, in addition to the wish list, upcoming we have some mentor video chats and also Twitter chats where most of the mentors are participating in those. So you want to check those out and ask questions there and see, you know, what they're looking for. You can, on the Ask Mentor chats, which are the Twitter chats that we have coming up, you're just going to use hashtag Ask Mentor, and you're going to ask your question on the hashtag, and whoever is participating in the chat, whichever mentors are participating in the chat, can answer that question for you. And then the cool thing about that is, though, you can see, everyone else can see the answer to your question, and you can see what other questions people have asked. So there might be a question that you didn't think to ask, but you really would like to know the answer to. So that's why those are so fun, because you can benefit from the entire community that way. Also, we have some video chats coming up, so make sure you check those out. And all of these chats are separated by category, but I always recommend tuning into as many as you can, because a lot of times the advice that the mentors give out isn't really necessarily dependent on what category they are mentoring or what category they're writing. They give out a lot of great querying advice, a lot of great advice on like comps and word count and all kinds of things. So I'm going to leave a link down below to the playlist where we have all of the mentor video chats stored, so you can watch all the ones that you missed already. And the ones in the future, if you're not able to catch live, they will also be on that list, so you can check all of those out there. And then the Ask Mentor chats, you just search hashtag Ask Mentor on Twitter. But I will leave a link down below for the schedule of all of those chats that we have coming up. Now that wish lists are live, you are definitely welcome to ask clarifying questions of the mentors. So if you have a question about whether or not, you know, a genre will fall within the umbrella genre that they want, or if there's a certain theme or something that you want to ask about that you're not quite sure about, you're definitely more than welcome to do that. But please take notice of the mentor's communication preferences. So if they said something in their blog post like, if you have a question, please leave a comment down below, you want to make sure you're using that communication method first before trying anything else. So blog comments are almost always okay. And then also if you want to the mentors on Twitter, you're welcome to do that if they are on Twitter. The one thing is, if they have not specifically said to DM them or to send them an email, you probably don't want to do that, because some mentors are totally fine with DMs, but some mentors are not, and some mentors, their DMs aren't even open. You want to make sure that they are okay with you DMing them before you do that. So please don't DM them unless they've given you permission to, or if they've said like a general statement that they're open to DMs. Now, when you're asking these clarifying questions, the one thing that you're not allowed to do is to pre-query. And what we mean by this is you can't send like the whole description, like a paragraph long description of your book, and ask the mentor if it's something that they would be interested in. And the reason why is because, one, it's not fair because not everyone is able to do this. And two, if everyone started doing this, it would be overwhelming for the mentors. So that's why we don't allow it. We do allow the clarifying questions, but the pre-querying is off limits, because we don't want the mentors to get, you know, 1,000, 2,000 DMs before Pitchwars even opens asking them if they're okay with XYZ, if they're okay with this kind of book. So please don't do that. And the mentors, by the way, are given my permission to either completely ignore these kinds of pre-queries or to just say that they can't answer them. So if they do say that, don't blame them. You can blame me. That's totally fine. I'm definitely the disciplinarian at Pitchwars. Another thing when you're asking clarifying questions is, please do not ask the mentors to tell you whether or not you qualify as own voices. This is just kind of like a big no-no in general, but in Pitchwars, please don't do that. Even the founder of the whole own voices movement and hashtag itself said that she couldn't answer those questions for people. So please don't ask Pitchwars mentors to clarify those questions for you. And my feeling always is, if you have to ask whether or not your own voices, then the answer is probably no, and then you're putting a mentor in like an awkward position to have to explain that to you. So please don't do that. Another thing that we see a lot is people who know that their word count is outside of the norm, and they'll ask mentors basically to tell them that it's okay. And this is just so awkward, so please don't do it. It's always awkward. We don't allow this question on the Pitchwars mentor video chats either, because it's specific to one person, so it doesn't really help a lot of people. And also, the only reason people are asking that question is they know that it's outside of the norm. So do with it what you will, try to do the best you can, but please don't ask a mentor to like rubber stamp your word count and tell you that it's fine. So the thing about the mentor wish list is they can't put every single thing in the world that they would want, right? So they are specifically putting things on there that they think that they want, but you may have something that they want that kind of meshes with some of the other things they've said, but they haven't specifically said it. And the other thing is, they're not going to put things on their want list that are like a category or a genre standard. So for example, I saw someone saying that a lot of mentors had asked for female-led fantasy, right? But no one had specifically said that they wanted male-led fantasy. And the reason why is because male-led fantasy is the norm for the genre. So they're not going to have to say that because it's just expected, right? So if you have anything like that, or you're thinking maybe they don't want it because they didn't specifically say that they want it, feel free to ask them a clarifying question so you don't miss out on someone who might want what you have. So for example, 2 years ago, the wish list that I had didn't include like prohibition inspired portal fantasy, which seems very specific, of course, but I didn't have anything about prohibition. I didn't have anything about portal fantasies on mine. And that's the manuscript that I chose. But because some of the other themes that I had mentioned kind of matched this person's manuscript, then they were able to say, okay, maybe Sarah will like this. And so they were able to submit to me, and then I chose them. And so there were some things in her manuscript that were not on my wish list, and there were some things that maybe were. So one of the things that was on my wish list was I really like it when people challenge gender norms. And so this manuscript had a female pilot who was basically like a smuggler. Did I say pilot or pirate? Female pilot is what I meant. I don't know what I said. Okay, yeah. So she was able to know that because of my wish list of challenging gender norms, and I really like high action things, that this might be a fit, even though I didn't necessarily ask for that prohibition inspired fantasy or portal fantasy at all. So now that you've done all this, you've read the wish list, you've asked questions, you've participated in the chats, how do you choose which mentors to submit to? And so obviously the big one is wish list fit. You want to make sure that your manuscript doesn't conflict with something that they don't want or might possibly be included in something that they want, right? You also want to take a look at their editing style, see if it matches what you're looking for. Some people who have never worked with an editor might not know exactly what they're looking for, and that's fine, but just kind of like try to figure out if someone's communication styles or something like that doesn't mesh with yours, or if they do. So if someone says that they want to do like phone calls all the time and you have phone anxiety like me, that might not be the best choice for you. But you could also just ask that mentor, hey, if someone doesn't like talking on the phone, is that okay? And they may say yes or no. And it's not a judgment on anyone, you know, it's just you want to find the thing that works best for you. You also want to take a look, a lot of them put on their wish list like what some of their favorite published books have been. So take a look at those, and you're not necessarily looking for like, you know, this person likes fairies and vampires or whatever, but you can kind of get an idea from like tones and themes. That's really what you want to look at when you're looking at those books. Because even if someone doesn't like a specific, or if they don't have on those books like a specific, you know, genre or a specific element, world building element or character type or something like that, you can get a really good idea by looking at their themes and the feel of those books and see if your book fits inside that. You also want to take a look. A lot of the mentors have discussed their strengths and weaknesses when it comes to editing. So if you feel like you really need help developing your characters and a mentor has said that they are good at character development things, that is obviously going to be a plus for you. But on the other side, so sometimes I would say things like, I'm not really good at developing kind of that craft of writing, like the sentence construction level things, right? So if that's something that you think that you need help with, then I wouldn't be a good mentor match for you. You also want to see if your personalities mesh. I know this is really hard to judge because some people may have a certain persona online or something, but just kind of take a look at their different platforms and their wish lists and see if someone might mesh with you personality wise. So if you're like a super serious person and the wish list is all like jokes and, you know, goofiness and whatever, that might not be a good personality fit. You never know. Sometimes people go really well together like that, the opposites. But and vice versa, if the wish list is like super serious and kind of like strict and you think that you wouldn't do well with a mentor like that, then feel free not to submit to that person. I really like it when people are like strict and serious and seem like they might be like a little bit mean, but like in a helpful way. I would love to work with someone like that, but I know I'm kind of rare in that. Also, you want to take a real good close look at those do not want lists. So most of the mentors will tell you things that they specifically do not want to receive in their inbox, and that is pretty much a hard stop. So the big thing that always happened to me every year is I would always say that I didn't want to receive any manuscripts that had sexual assault on the page or centered around a sexual assault narrative. And I mean, I feel like there are very obvious reasons why I wouldn't want to read something like that, and you can probably presume why I would not want to read something like that. But then I would have people who would DM me like graphic descriptions of the sexual assault in their book asking me if that was okay. And that is clearly not an okay thing to do. So if someone says that they don't want something in their book, please just take their word for it and move on. There are plenty of other mentors available. Yeah, definitely respect their do not want lists. So if you'll notice when I was listing things to choose a mentor by and what you should consider, I did not mention two things. One is their popularity in terms of like their social media following or whatever. And two is the popularity of their books. These are just not good ways to pick a mentor. All the mentors that we have are definitely qualified. We make sure of that when we select mentors. So if you're trying to choose either way based on a mentor's popularity, so sometimes you'll see that a mentor seems to be very popular and you'll think, oh, I don't want to submit to them because they're going to get lots of submissions. That's not a good idea. And then vice versa, if you see that a mentor might not have a lot of Twitter followers or something, you may think that you don't want to submit to them because they're not popular enough for you. I guess I don't understand this line of thinking, but people do think it. And it's just not a good factor to consider when you're trying to choose a mentor, because even if someone seems really popular, they may not get a lot of submissions because their wish list is very narrow, or because other people think that they're so popular they don't want to submit to them because they're going to be popular, and then they end up getting less. So you have like this like weird effect where people's assumptions affect how many submissions a mentor gets. 1 year before, I was just an editorial intern. I was not a published author. I had pretty small Twitter following, and I had the most submissions in the young adult category, and that was because of my wish list, I think. And so you never want to make those assumptions about like how many submissions people are going to get based on how popular they are or how popular their books are. So just put that out of your mind entirely. I don't think it's a good way to make a decision at all. I mean, that's my personal opinion. Of course, you may feel differently, but I don't think that that should be one of the most important things that you consider, definitely. Okay, so before I close out this video, I wanted to send a couple like cautionary thoughts out into the world. And one, every year we see people who provide a third-party resource with either information about Pitchwars in general or about the mentor specifically. And every year, every single one of those has incorrect information on it. And so I understand that people are trying to be helpful and maybe you don't want to take the time to go through all the wish lists or that kind of thing. But if you do that, you're going to get wrong information. And it's not, I don't think it's intentional or nefarious in any way, but it does happen. And so I definitely recommend you always go straight to the source for the information. So if you're looking for information about Pitchwars rules, make sure you go to pitchwars.org and read the rules there. If you have a clarifying question, please reach out to Pitchwars on Twitter or email, and we will answer that question for you. So try not to get, we've seen so many people just answer a question wrongly or think that something is a rule when it's not, because they've gotten the information from third-party sources. And when we're talking about mentor wish list, make sure you go directly to that mentor's wish list. So don't rule out anyone based on a third-party information, and also don't make your selection based on third-party information for sure. Make sure you go to that primary source to get that information. So I know a lot of people interact a lot with the mentors on Twitter, and a lot of that comes from like a very genuine place, and that's awesome, and we love it. We love this aspect of the Pitchwars community. But there are some people who think that if they interact more with the mentors on Twitter, that they're going to be more likely to be chosen, and that is just not the case at all. The book is definitely the most important thing when it comes to a mentor choosing who they want to work with. And so if you think that you need to put all this effort into making a mentor like you on Twitter so that they'll choose you, don't worry about that at all. Don't think about that. Your time is better spent perfecting your query, perfecting your pages, or, you know, not perfecting, they can never be perfect, but you know, trying to get those the best that they can be. You want to trade critiques with other people. We do have the Pitchwars forum where you can post in there and receive critiques on your first 5 pages, your query, your synopsis. And so not only are other hopefuls in the Pitchwars forum critiquing these things, but sometimes the mentors stop by and critique these things as well. So definitely spend your time there rather than like trying to be you know, making best friends with the mentors online, because the mentors really care most about the book more than anything. And they may like you and you may turn out to be friends, but they're not necessarily going to choose you because of your Twitter interactions. Personally, when I was reading submissions, I wouldn't even look at the name of the submission until I decided whether or not I wanted to request more pages, because I didn't want to be influenced by any of that. So the last thing I want to say is don't rush. I've seen people say that they've already chosen their 4 mentors, and that may make you think that you need to hurry up and decide who you're going to be submitting to. But you have 2 weeks, so make sure you take that time, do as much research as you like, really just kind of let it, you know, wash over your subconscious, whatever you need to do. Take as much time as you need, and you don't have to decide on the 4 mentors you're submitting to until the submission date. So don't feel like you have to rush for any reason. Thank you all so much for watching my video. I hope it was helpful. I hope you got some information out of it. If you liked it and you want to see more upcoming videos from me, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And thank you so much for tuning in. I have a new project launching in October that I'm super excited about. So if you want to get more information about that whenever it becomes available and you want to see those really fun videos that I'm going to be doing, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell thingy to get notifications about my new videos. Also, let me know if there's any topic that you'd like me to cover. I am really getting back into video blogging, so if there's anything you want me to talk about, any questions you have, anything like that, please do let me know and I will try to cover them in a future video. Thank y'all for watching, and I will see you next time.